So I just finished my MBA at London Business School. Now, how I feel about graduating, the emotional side of it, that's another video for another time. But this video is something different. So I finished the MBA with a distinction. And since the best performing video on this channel was how I made it onto the Dean's List, I wanted to do the same thing again, but with my final result. Going literally through every class I picked, the grade I got in that class, what I thought of it, and how I ended up with a concentration in marketing. So without further ado, let's get into it. So welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danny and I just finished my MBA at London Business School. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you would know that I got onto the Dean's List in my first year of the MBA, which means I finished in the top 10% of my first year. This video picks up from there and I share my final result for the MBA with a full breakdown of every elective I took in my second year. So first, let me explain what a distinction is, because I didn't know this existed myself until I was awarded my degree, which had the distinction mentioned on it. So the criteria for the distinction is same as the Dean's List. You need to finish in the top 10% of your class. The difference is the Dean's List is based on the first year's core courses, whereas the distinction is based on the courses throughout the program. So it takes your cumulative grade point average. So that would include your core courses, your tailored core courses, as well as the electives, which you will mainly be taking in your second year. Now, unlike your first year, where every student has to take the same core courses, and there is a little bit of choice with the tailored core courses, in your second year, you will be only taking elective courses. If you go on exchange, then the courses you take over there will be credited towards your degree at LBS. Now, I was really selective with my electives. I did a lot of research on the professors. I asked a lot of the senior MBAs which courses they really enjoyed. And I paid a lot of attention to the course outlines that were shared. There's also a spreadsheet that goes around in the MBA community, which has ratings of all the different courses. I use that to guide my decision-making process. But I have to say the general standard of elective courses at London Business School is quite high, and I wasn't disappointed by any particular course. Now, the concept of concentrations was something new that was introduced in our year. Because of the courses that I picked, I was able to finish with a marketing concentration. Now, since I'm primarily recruiting for growth roles, I felt like a marketing concentration would improve my chances of getting placed in a fast-growing startup. It would also help me in running my own e-commerce business. Now, the courses that made up my marketing concentration were brand management, customer and marketing analytics, channel and sales force management, product management, digital marketing, and pricing. Now, I will go through the grades of all of these, plus all of the other courses that I took in the next section. Now, let's start with the tailored core courses. So these are courses that you can start taking in the last term of your first year. You have to pick from a certain number of courses in order to meet minimum points in the tailored core courses. So the first one I took was business analytics, in which I got an A+. Now, business analytics will teach you how to make the best use of Excel. You will also learn how to use R and SQL. For anyone who isn't used to making models, using goal seek or sensitivity analysis, this course is fundamental. I couldn't recommend it more. The course was taught by Jean. Him and the teaching assistants were very helpful. I felt like I went from being a 7 out of 10 on Excel to a 9 out of 10, and it was all thanks to this course. This course was worth 11 points, and it's actually the only A+ I got in my second year. The next course is pricing. Pricing was a really fun course. It was taught by Andrea and David, who also teach microeconomics, or marketplaces as they call it at London Business School. If you enjoy their banter and their teaching dynamic, you will definitely enjoy this course. Unfortunately, I got a B in this course because I submitted 2 quizzes late. I was given a 0 on both of those quizzes. The end assessment for this course is writing 2 essays, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I got an A+ on both of them. Unfortunately, just because I messed up the quizzes, I got a B instead of an A. The next tailored core is developing entrepreneurial opportunities. This was worth 6 points and I got an A. Now, this is probably the only course I regret taking because as an entrepreneur, I feel like entrepreneurship is something you learn by doing and not necessarily something you can teach someone in a classroom. I don't believe the lecturer for this class is an entrepreneur, and the content consisted of readings, and I feel like none of these pertained to entrepreneurship as much as to perhaps how to be innovative in a larger organization. Also, the study group I formed in this class was not particularly interested in actually developing an entrepreneurial opportunity. So what we ended up doing is just asking Claude for a few business ideas, and then we ended up just building around one of those. The next tailored core is digital strategy. This is taught by Kevan, and it's a very interesting course. This course talks a lot about marketplaces. So platforms with 2 or 3 sides, and how you can go about making a business model like that succeed. The assessment for this course is interesting because K1 will present you with the answer of an assignment according to AI, and then you have to critique and correct it. So this course was worth 6 credits, and I got a B because I did terribly in the first assignment. Now, the last course is Technology and Innovation Strategy. This was worth 6 credits, and I got an A. Now, I enjoyed this course and Farhan's teaching style, but I felt like the lectures were standalone and they didn't really tie together for a more cohesive picture as a whole. But there were plenty of interesting discussions in this course, and that's kind of Farhan's style. So that wraps up the tailored core courses, and now we proceed to the electives, which are typically taken in your second year, starting with financial analytics. Now, financial analytics is essentially the same as business analytics, except you're dealing more with financial models. So that is how to price stocks and options, how you can price options and rights in contracts as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this class, just like business analytics. Parts of this class were tricky because there were a lot of things you had to figure out. They were a bit like a puzzle, but the lecturer and the TA were extremely helpful. So this class is worth 11 credits, and I got an A. I would highly recommend taking this class, regardless of whether you see yourself working in finance. The next one is Customer and Marketing Analytics. That was 11 credits, and I got an A in this class. This class is taught by Bruce Hardy, who is one of the more unique lecturers at LBS. He is very strict. He doesn't tolerate any use of technology in his class, and rightly so, because it can be a distraction. If you're in his class, expect a lot of rants sent by email. Several students in this class submitted the same assignment, i.e. plagiarism, and they failed this class. The first few sessions of this class were quite intense, and I was wondering what I got myself into. But 5 or 6 lectures in, once things started falling into place, I started really enjoying this class. Bruce will demand your unwavering attention. He will not put up with any use of technology in this class. However, he will also go out of his way to make sure you're understanding the content of this class. For anyone who is interested in working in marketing and understanding how surveys might have biases and how to reduce them, this class is critical. The next one is Employee Engagement and Positive Psychology. This was 11 points, and I got an A in this class. Now, this class is taught by Dan Cable, who is just a bundle of positive energy. And I feel like that itself should be enough for anyone to want to do this class. But it's a great course for employers to figure out how to engage their employees in a positive manner, as well as for an employee to bring their best self to work. The next course is Product Management, which was 11 credits, and I got an A in this class. Now, this class is taught by Lil Mohan, and no, that is not a rapper's name. That is the name of a lecturer and an AI academic from Silicon Valley. This was one of my top 3 courses at LBS by far. Lil has worked in a lot of big companies in Silicon Valley. He comes to LBS for about 5 to 6 weeks to teach this course. The course is designed really well, and he also has a lot of interesting stories to share about his career. He doesn't really hold back. He drops a few F-bombs in the class. He hates people checking their phones. He'll kick you out immediately for checking your phone. So if you want to just coast, I would not recommend taking any of Leal's classes. But if you want to be engaged and learn something for someone who has worked in great teams in technology and who is equally entertaining, I would highly recommend this class. The next one is The Power of Networks, which is 11 points. And I got an A in this class. This class is taught by Andrea. It goes into network effects. And I think this course is really interesting for anyone who is working in marketing or growth or even their own business and wants to understand how you go about getting network effects and viral growth. The next course is Entrepreneurship through Acquisition. This was 11 credits and I got a B in this class. Now this course might as well be called Search Funds. I don't think it's even about entrepreneurship as much as it goes into the various forms of raising funds and then the advantages of buying a business which has product market fit rather than starting something from scratch. The lecturer of this course, Simon, is very dry, and personally that wasn't quite my style, but I feel like he has very valid points to share. And for anyone who is interested in buying a business in the future, this is a really useful course. So this course has a textbook which you're expected to read before class, and everything that's discussed in the lecture except for the guest speakers is kind of covered in that book. And the next course is People Analytics. This is worth 11 credits and I got an A in this class. Now this course didn't need to be 11 credits. It could have been shorter with 6 credits because the essence of it is you can't rely on just subjective judgments and you can't rely on AI tools. The true middle ground using both is where the magic is. You need to use qualitative measures along with quantitative measures in order to make the best decisions as to who to hire and retain and promote. So while the course itself was basic, the guest speakers were some of the best. So I would recommend this course to anyone who's interested in people, talent, and HR. Now, the next course is Applications of AI and Machine Learning. This is worth 11 credits. I got an A in this class, and this is again taught by Leel Mohan. So Leel completed a PhD in AI, and he's been living in Silicon Valley for 30 or 40 years. He's made the entire course, and he does an amazing job teaching this. Of course, we're all using AI these days, and I would recommend this course to anyone who is not an expert in AI. Now, down to the last 2 courses, which were also my favorite courses. First, we have Digital Marketing. Digital Marketing is 11 credits, and I got an A in this course. Now, Digital Marketing is taught by Professor Zhu Zhang, and you can tell she is extremely passionate about it. The course is a blend of theoretical and practical, so you will understand how digital marketing works. And in this course, you will also work on a simulation where you're running Google Ads for a bag company. Over the course of the simulation, you will be adding more products. You will see the results of your campaigns, and you'll have to make changes to those campaigns to allocate your budget and get the highest revenue. You do this as a team, and then you're graded based on where you rank in the entire class. In the block week, there's also a bonus task, which may be graded in the full course, where you have to do an influencer style video. So I made a video for this class for a business idea I was working on with a classmate at the time. And my video was so entertaining that it unanimously got the award for the best video. I won a little LBS tumbler and a bottle of champagne for that. In summary, I would not only recommend this class to anyone who is planning to work in marketing or growth, but really anyone who plans to run a business at any point. As someone who has run PPC ads on Google before, I can say that the experience of the simulation is very close to the real thing. And as Google is such a critical machine for sales, this is one of those courses that you can't do without. Now, this brings me to the last course, which is Entrepreneurial Negotiations. This is 6 credits, and I got an A in this class. Now, everyone is vying for this class because it's taught by Nero. Nero is widely considered the GOAT at negotiation. If you're in your first year at LBS, ask anyone what their favorite course was in their second year. If they took this course, they will probably say it is this course. Each one of Nero's lectures is less of a lecture and more of a TEDx talk. It's inspiring, it's educational, it's entertaining, all 3 at the same time. Now, I would highly recommend taking this course, but regardless of whether you get this course or not, you should definitely take at least one negotiation course at London Business School, because this skill will help you in any aspect of your life. What I learned here, I used in business. I used it when I was negotiating my rent, and I'm sure I'll be using it when I'm negotiating salaries in the future as well. I suppose I'm also a little bit biased because I won the Best Negotiator award in this class. So that was all the non-core courses I did at London Business School. Putting that all together, For those of you who are interested in what it takes to get in the top 10% of your class, I will share the breakdown of the grades that I got in my first and second year. If you want more details of the first year courses, check out the linked video. So for my first year in the core courses, I got 5 A pluses, 3 A's, and 2 B's. In the other courses that are discussed in this video, I got 1 A plus, 12 A's, and 5 B's. So the total across the whole MBA with 28 graded courses was 6 A pluses, 15 A's, and 7 B's. That combination of grades across the whole program is what got me the distinction, which meant I finished in the top 10% of my class. So that's the full breakdown of every class I took and every grade in my MBA. So if you're applying to LBS or are already in the program and have any questions about the courses, please leave them in the comments below. I read everything and I'll try my best to answer. In this video, I will be sharing more about my experience doing the MBA at London Business School. So if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing, like this video, all that jazz. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.